Hi, I'm Russ Rossi from On Track TV.
And I'm John Clarides from Marquee Wine Cellars.
Today we're going to talk about tasting wine, and we're going to keep it really simple, the 5 S's of tasting wine. John?
Great. First of all, make sure your glass is clean. That's the number one thing. If your glass is not clean, it's going to affect the taste of the wine. So when you pull it out of the cupboard, smell the glass. If it smells like candles, like my wife used to keep in the cupboard, or, excuse me, if it smells like cardboard or cupboard, rinse it out with a little bit of wine. This is what I like to do, first of all. This is really important. Just a little bit of rinse. I call it burning the glasses. Into the next glass, burn it, just like this, and we're ready to go.
Burning the glasses.
Burning the glasses.
Perfect.
Okay.
So let me see if I can figure it out here, the 5 S's. I'm going to say the first S was probably C. So look at the wine.
Look at the wine.
Okay.
So we're going to pour it.
Okay. See the wine. So what do? I just hear and look like this.
Yes. Now, this is a young wine.
Okay.
It's 2008. So all young reds, and young whites for that matter, there should be a vibrancy in the color. If this color is diluted, if it has any brown tinge on it, that's your first indication there may be something wrong with it.
Okay.
So that's still number one. Number two, do a little swirl. Now, if you're like Russ and you're wearing white, away from your shirt. And if you're at a wine tasting, far away from other people.
Okay, so what
swirl it.
So what am I looking for?
That releases the aromatics in the wine.
Okay.
All right?
So now we're beyond seeing the wine. We're going to smelling the wine.
Smell the wine.
The second S, smell the wine.
Now we know with wine, there's all sorts of descriptors.
Yes.
Again, with young red and white, it's important. There should be a vibrancy of fruit, like a 3-year-old kid. It should jump out at the glass. There should be no off aromas. And those off aromas could be dirty socks, a dirty hockey bag, sweaty smell. Some people call it pooey diapers,
okay.
Things like that. It should not...
Cardboard, wet cardboard?
Wet cardboard, if you pulled your glass out of a cardboard box, there should be no off aromas. So once it's past that sniff test, then we're going on to the
Now,
next
John,
part.
just going back to the S part for seeing, people sometimes talk about legs on a wine.
Yep.
What are legs?
Legs, for me, is indicative of the alcohol in a wine.
So, and those are the streams running down the side of the glass?
Those are the streams running down the side of the glass.
When I twist the glass, the streams running down, those are called the legs of the wine.
Exactly.
So if we had more alcohol, let's say an Amarone wine.
That's correct.
It might be a thicker leg?
Thicker leg, and it'll go down very, very slow.
I guess you can imagine, say this was a glass of Grand Marnier, a thick liqueur. Those
it would coat it like paint.
It would come down like paint.
Exactly.
And what's a wine that would have a very thin leg? Maybe like a Beaujolais?
Beaujolais, for whites, some Rieslings, anything with lower alcohol content.
Lower alcohol content would have a smaller leg.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And for me, that's I'm not a big fan of high alcohol wines. When I look at that, I go, oh God, this is going to be another one of those heady. It's like drinking whiskey in the middle of the desert. It's pretty tough.
Okay.
Well, let's taste it.
So my third S is sipping. Sipping? No, sipping. Sip with some oxygen a little bit, like puckering my lips a bit.
Release. Yeah, pucker it in. Make a lot of noise.
Should you do that in a restaurant? Make that kind of noise?
Why not?
Okay.
Sure, I do it all the time. You can do it discreetly. So,
so I notice as I bring the oxygen in, as I'm sipping, it excites the flavor. It actually gives me more flavor.
You're releasing, you're tasting the wine all around your palate.
Yeah.
And on your tongue and on your palate, you can taste acid, sweet, sour, and bitter. So you want to taste all those sensations.
Okay.
And if the wine is pleasurable to you, there's no bitterness, there's no astringency, there's no any of those off flavors that you may have initially smelt in the glass. Has it transformed onto the palate? If it has, then send the wine back. If it hasn't, then the wine's good to go.
Okay. So we've got the 3 S's so far, which are see, smell, sip. The 4th S is swish. We're going to swish it in our mouth.
Yep.
Exploring the flavors that were first indicated to you by the smelling, correct?
Correct. So
that would bring us to the 5th S, which I think would have 2 options. I think if you're wine tasting, some people swallow their wine.
Right.
Others spit it out. What's the purpose of that? Why is there a discrepancy?
If you're a professional and you're going to wine tasting, you're tasting 50, 60, 70 wines, even a quarter ounce, even half an ounce over the course of a night, you're done.
Okay.
You can't drive.
Yes, too much.
It's too much. Yeah. If you're cabbing it, if you're staying at the local hotel, then by all means, taste the wines.
Oh, I see.
But be forewarned, if you're spending $100 or $150 at a wine tasting, and you're tasting 1 or 2 ounces, and there's 30 wines there, that's a lot of wine.
Okay.
So do a little taste, spit it. If you like it, go back and swallow it, just to reconfirm what you've tasted, because sometimes you don't get the full flavor of a wine when you only taste it and spit it out. I can assess it, but if a great wine, a hallmark of a great wine for me is if I taste it, spit it out, and I go, wow, I gotta go back and have a glass.
Well, let me ask you this then, because I've heard people talk about the finish of a wine.
Yes.
So like the aftertaste after it goes down. Now, if
Yes.
you're spitting the wine out, how are you going to sample the finish?
It's pretty hard, but I
Okay.
can tell you a great wine, regardless of whether you spit it out or not, is a great wine, and you're gonna go, holy smokes, I'm gonna go back for a glass of that.
I've noticed on a swallow, sometimes the finish can come back and be very gentle and caressing my palate, where sometimes a bitter or astringent back flavor
Right.
comes out.
Yep.
And I didn't really taste that bitterness in my mouth, but I tasted it after I swallowed. What does that indicate?
Oh, it could be a variety of things. Could be what you've eaten for breakfast. Everybody's palate is individual. Could be that coffee you've had in the
Okay.
morning. Could be what you had for dinner the night before.
So not necessarily the wine.
Not necessarily the wine. It could be everybody. Like I said, it's what you've had for breakfast or lunch or dinner affects the wine. I find for me the best time to taste is between 8 in the morning and just before lunch.
So our timing is perfect today.
Exactly.
So let me recap. The 5 S's to sampling wine are: we see the wine, we smell the wine, we sip the wine, we swish the wine, and we swallow the wine.